Hi, and welcome to this instructed tour of the 4Scout product, app and web application, where I'll give you a thorough guide of the platform so you can start scouting with 4Scout right away. In the following video, you'll get to know all the mandatory steps in the setup of 4Scout, followed by typical user scenarios and obvious output and value of your effort. Notice, the video is divided into sequences, so you can jump between and start all over again if you missed anything. So, let us begin with a checklist of what you can expect in this video. So, the process has 4 steps. 2 before you scout, 1 during scouting, and 1 after. Step 1 is the creation of your language in the platform. Step 2 is creating your talent ID. Step 3 is how to scout from app and web. And step 4 is the final output, where you gather all the data. So, let's start with step 1 and how you create the platform's language. In order to create this, you need 2 things. Define your cultural values and set up an overall recommendation. Right now, your scouting grid is empty. That means you can't scout because you don't have any defined values to scout from.
So, what are the cultural values?
The cultural values are certain values that define your club. See it as something general you want to rate all players from. An example is that Manchester United wanted Zlatan Ibrahimovic because he's a winner type. So having a winner mentality could be a cultural value for Manchester United.
So let me show you how to set it up.
If you want to change the cultural values, you have to navigate to Me, My Account. Press Edit and scroll down to see the cultural values. The cultural values are the values defining me as a club. In my club, I want the cultural values to be team spirit, athleticism, intelligence, and winning mentality. The last step is defining the overall recommendation. The recommendation is your overall view of the player and how good he is at the time your scouting report is made. In short, you can recommend the player from 1 to 5 using your own words. Set it up just like with the other 2. The recommendation is your overall view of the player and how good he is at the time the scouting report is made. In short, you can recommend the player from a scale you choose on your own. In this case, I've chosen a 3-level scale with the different scale points being not interesting, promising, and start 11. When you're all done, hit update and you're ready. You've now set up the basics, so you can start scouting using the cultural values. However, as you can see, you won't get a complete spider grid yet from scouting on the cultural values. That's because you need to define specific abilities and talent IDs for certain positions or age groups in order to do so. That's step 2. So, step 2 is about setting up the ability groups and the talent ID. The talent ID is something you want to set for a specific age group or a certain position that you want to attach some skills and rate on. For example, you perhaps want a striker to be a good shooter, but at the same time you want him to have a good sense of positioning on the pitch. Those 2 are both abilities, but shooting is a technical ability and positioning is a tactical ability, and that's why we have to put them into separate ability groups. Let me just show you how. The ability groups are set up the exact same way as the cultural values. So I enter Me, My Account, hit Edit and scroll down. Now the name of my 4 values will be physique, mental, technique, and tactic. Just like on the cultural values, I can label the graduation levels beneath the values down here. When I'm done, I hit update. In the grid we now have the ability groups. However, we can't scout on them yet because we haven't applied a talent ID. So let me just show you how. Now, let's go to the talent ID. As mentioned before, the talent ID is a range of skills that you use to describe a specific position or a certain age group. In order to visualize this in the player grid, you need to divide the skills into the different ability groups we made before. So let's create the talent ID for a striker position we want to make a detailed scouting report on. We hit the Create Talent ID button. We have to give the talent ID a name. We call it Striker. In the description, we say it's a all-round striker. Now attach it to a certain age group. This could be under 14s. And a position, I choose the number 9, a striker. Last thing I need to make sure of is to apply it on scouting. So I activate this button and I hit Create Talent ID. The talent ID I just created will come on top and I'll be able to access it just by pressing on the label. So now you see an empty talent ID. I have to apply some skills. I do that by creating a group. And start applying skills. I can either choose from the default skills I have within the platform, or I can create my own. Creating my own, I use the plus icon. Call the first one First Touch and give it a small description. So this was just an example and I want to add a description to all the other skills I'm about to make. If I'm done, I hit Add Skill. And now I can see the skill here. I can easily add one more just by pressing the plus icon again. Now I have to attach these two skills to an ability group. So I unfold and I choose Technique and create new group. So now I have two skills in this talent ID. Let's add some more. Now I made sure I have some skills in each ability group and I'm actually done making my first talent ID. Now the grid is complete, we can scout on all our values, making a perfect spider web and a thorough scouting report. So now you're all set up and ready to start scouting. But before you scout, there's 3 things you need to do. create a match, create and search a player, and make your scouting report. I'm gonna show you just how to do it on both web and app. You can create a match on both web and app. If you're creating the match on web, you'll still be able to see the match on your app and vice versa. The way you set it up is pretty simple. On web, you click the Create New Match button, and on app you click the plus icon. Afterwards, you just fill out the form. Start by selecting the country the clubs are from, then select the participating clubs. The rest is easy to fill out. If you create a match in the platform, you can assign matches to your scouts and control who is in charge of the particular match. You do that here. This means that the scouts get a notification right away and is ready to scout on the match. The next thing you need to do is create a search and search a player. Start by enter a match you just created, choose the team's right formation, click on the player's position, then the Create New Player icon, and just fill out the form. On app, it's the same, just click the plus icon when creating a new player. If you already have the player in your database, for example, if you scouted him earlier, you'll just search on the player name using the search bar. Now you're ready to scout and make your scouting reports. Click on the player you want to scout and rate the player on your cultural values and ability groups, and give the player an overall recommendation. You can also write notes on your specific ratings. When you're done, finish by completing the task. Your scouting report has now been made. On app, it's pretty much the same, only difference is you can scout live. Now your scouting is done. You have the report on the player, and now all you have to do is gather the data you've collected. That can also be done from both web and app. Start by finding the player on the profiles, searching the player's name. Click and go to Reports. Here you can see the player's performance, view your notes, or re-evaluate the player. If you want to download the report, you can export the full report as a PDF. Note that downloading the PDF and re-evaluating the player can only be done from web. And that's how you scout. I hope the demo was helpful to you and you feel ready to use 4Scout now. If you need to refresh how you do certain things in the platform, you can always follow the link down below to see our other video tutorials. If you have any other questions regarding the platform, feel free to use the chat box in the lower right corner of the platform. See you soon. Take care.